Okay, so what is the date today? It's June
22nd.
22nd, second day of summer. We're kind of the only ones in the office, probably because it's 5 till 5. We've got the Education and Honors Banquet this evening. But you got to go somewhere I've always wanted to go last week for the National Indian HeadStart Conference. How was it?
It's good. So yeah, I got to go to Nashville. I'd never been there before, so it was nice to learn a little bit about the history of the city, and did actually get to go and visit one of the plantations, and but didn't have much time, extra time there. It's really hot there and humid. But the conference was good. Really a great turnout. I actually had asked if it, because I've been to these conferences several times, and I felt like there were more people this time, and it is one of the most attended ones that they had probably in the last 10 years. So good turnout, some really good speakers. Matika Wilbur was there. First time I got to meet her and see some of her work that she's done. And she was a great speaker. And
So if somebody's watching this video and they have no idea who Matika Wilbur is, what would you tell them?
well, she's here. I got it here, right here, where she's doing the Project 562. So she's going around to tribes and doing a documentary on photographs of all the tribes across the country. So I guess that would be a good way to explain it. You've met her before, and is that a good version of what she does?
Yeah, well, when I met her, there were 562 federally recognized tribes, and that's the name of her project. But now there's more than that, so I don't know if she's changed the name of her project or not.
Yeah, and maybe that's something she'll have to consider. I did talk. She has come out to visit with us. I know she interviewed Bobby and took some pictures of them carving and stuff. So I really would like to bring her out, and I think it would be nice to even have her maybe do the museum, do an exhibit of her work, because nobody has really done that except for Edward Curtis back in the early, I think, was that 1900s or something?
Yeah, and I don't know if he's a good comparison. I mean, he was a great photographer, but I've read some people who think that a lot of his stuff was a little disingenuous.
Yeah, and she didn't want to use his work, and that's how she started doing this project on her own, because that's not originally how the project started out. But when she realized that there wasn't any Native American photographer that had went across the country and did a documentary on all the tribes and took photographs. So, and more of a modern day too. So, yeah, she was really, I really enjoyed meeting her, and look forward to maybe having her come out or seeing some of her work here and maybe do an exhibit. That's not my decision, though. It's the museum's decision, but I thought it was kind of a good idea. So.
Okay, so what drew you to going to the Head Start conference? Because you went there last year as well, and I think I attended a conference in Oklahoma City with you for Head Start. So
yeah, several years ago.
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah, well, I started going when I was on the Policy Council, and then, I've always been engaged in, one of my priorities is our kids. And I think the earlier that we start with them and being sure that they have the proper environment and the learning and it's all about health, it's all about learning. There's lots of components to Head Start and preschool, and I've just always been a big advocate for that and for making sure that we have what it is. It's been nice. I've gotten to know all the directors from Washington, D.C. and some of the staff over the years, and it's worked out really well because there's times that they have grant opportunities, and then when you sit down, you've built a rapport with them, you sit down and talk to them, and you point out that maybe that grant doesn't really work for the Native American tribes, and recognizing that all the tribes are structured a little differently, different population, different locations in the country. Some are rural, some are closer to inner cities, and adjusting that so that the children of those tribes get the best that they can, and the children of those communities. It's not just Native children, but it's the children that live in those tribal communities. So I've really enjoyed that work. I think because I've been involved with it so long, it's been beneficial. So when they ask me questions, I usually, I can answer them. I know whenever they come out and do the evaluation, they always have me come, because as you're doing the evaluation on the program and they start asking questions, I can usually respond and answer pretty appropriately and promptly. So I think it's important when you've become engaged in something to continue that, especially if you've been a good spokesperson for it. So.
What were some of your favorite workshops from the conference?
Actually, one of the workshops I went to was one of my favorites. Was a Dr. Richards. She actually goes by G because she has a very long name, and I'm not sure I could pronounce it even if I looked at it. But her name is Dr. Richards. She's actually a physician, medical doctor that went on a sabbatical when she had kids because she wanted to be at home more with them, and then got talked into working for HeadStart. And she's been doing that ever since. She was just an amazing lady, very good and interactive with the HeadStart staff, and talked about what services they provide, how they follow through with the management of their families, and how they document, because HeadStart does have a lot of regulations and requirements, and documentation is really important. And how you document the information and how the receiver receives that and what their perception is of that. So there was times that she would ask and people would say how they would document, and then she would turn to them and and so what? So what does that tell me? If I'm sitting in my office in Washington, D.C., what does that tell me? And then they would have to explain it, and it was really a good exercise. Everybody really enjoyed it, and she really liked the work that we were doing with our dental hygienist. Sheila actually went to the meeting too, and none of the other Head Start programs are doing that preventive dental in their preschool and their early Head Start. So Sheila got a lot of recognition.
What is Sheila's last name?
I think it's called Blackaster? Blackader. I knew I was going to mess that up. But Sheila's just been very passionate about dental care and preventive work, and she saw a small grant a few years ago about dental health, and she got that grant and modified that to go into the preschools and the early Head Start home visits, and we've had amazing results with that. Our appointments for young children has increased by 400% since she started, and the kids aren't afraid to go to the dentist, and she got a lot of recognition at Head Start because out of 150 programs, there was not one program that is actually doing that, and I don't think that any program even thought about it, but it was very well received by the Head Start Association, and lots of people came and talked to her and wanted information on how she did it and what she does, and but she's probably going to get some invitations to come visit some tribes so that she can help them set their program up, because it really got a great response. Another meeting, we had a private meeting with all the tribal leaders. That was really nice, just to hear the differences and the concerns that some of the tribes have, and recognizing that all tribes' issues and concerns are all different. And then we had a meeting. We got to meet the new director, which just started like 6 weeks ago. She was a school teacher for many years. Very open-minded, very compassionate, and I think she's going to do well. I've met several directors over the years, and I was pretty impressed with her. She actually, after the tribal meeting with all the tribal leaders, she actually responded to some of the questions that we had, and usually the new directors don't like to answer any of the questions in those meetings. They like to go home and think about it and then respond back. But she actually did answer some of the questions. So, and she actually remarked that she was told not to, but she did anyhow because she just felt, it was okay to do that. So.
So how was Nashville? Isn't that like the heart of country music?
It is. It's the heart of country music, and the CMA concerts were going on while we were there, so the streets were packed with people. There was people from all over the world there, Australia, Europe. I couldn't believe that people actually come there from all over the world to go to those concerts there in Nashville. So we didn't attend any of those, but you know, they had all the streets blocked off, and there was just people everywhere. One thing that I did note, everybody wears cowboy boots there, and there's a cowboy boot store probably every other building. So
did you buy a pair?
no, but I did tell somebody that I felt like I was supposed to buy a pair before I left. So, but we did go in and shop a little bit in them. But none of us came home with any cowboy boots.
Did you go to any country karaoke bars and sing some Dolly Parton or anything
No.
like that? No.
Actually, all the restaurants everywhere, they all have live bands. I mean, you just hear nothing but music all the way down the street. I mean, every restaurant, every bar, every business, there's a live band. So a couple of places where we went and had dinner did have some live music playing, and live music is the thing in Nashville. So we did go to the Johnny Cash Museum, and that was rather interesting. I thought that was it was pretty cool. Everybody really enjoyed it. I think I was the one that suggested going there one night after we had dinner, and not sure everybody was interested in doing that, but they did, and everybody really enjoyed it. So
Oh,
good.
awesome. Well,
yeah,
glad to know you had a good, productive trip. So,
yeah, it's good.
cool. Thank you.